UFC 303, a patchwork card, but was this patchwork actually worthy of such a big event? So this is my breakdown of all the fights on the main card in UFC 303 and my kind of conclusion about the whole event. The main card did start off with MVP versus Machado Gary, which was a very lackluster fight for the initial fights kicking off the main card. Round 1 started at some good pace, but then Gary had a triangle early on. He couldn't close it. MVP just kind of pulled his arm off from a deep choke, like there was no power behind that choke. And then in round 2, MVP started with a nice shot that stunned Gary, but he didn't put pressure on him. White hit him with a nice shot that he clearly had a little bit of an impact from, and you didn't close it off and you didn't try to put any more pressure on it. And this just kind of gave Gary time to recover. Gary was very stationary during this round. This let MVP use speed, which kind of outpaced Gary for some time. Ian did use the clinch to slow down the pace, but we ended up with MVP working more in the clinch. It was kind of like a weird fight altogether. MVP did reverse one of Ian's takedown attempts, and then Gary did use it to try to throw in that heel hook and try to get a submission out of it. But again, all his submission attempts were kind of failing on MVP. And in round 3, we just saw that Gary was really trying to get MVP out with a submission. But MVP did do a really good job in stopping these submissions, and the fight ended with Gary winning. But after all the conversation they had about the future and MVP is old, Gary didn't prove so much of like a crazy difference between their levels when it came to the sport. The next fight was Chasson versus Silva. So this was our main female fight for the night. Chasson started off great in round 1. She was using lateral movement, using the octagon very well, and placing herself in very opportune positions. But Bueno Silva was just issuing pressure. She was coming in throwing heavy shots. She was just issuing pressure. So I think her plan was to try to get Chasson out of there very early and didn't want this fight to drag out. And Silva was really trying to go for that clinch. Every time she got into that clinch, she was throwing very heavy uppercuts and body shots. And it just said, look, I'm trying to put you out before you can hurt me in any way. But this was kind of gassing her out because this was only the first round and she was throwing so many punches, trying to just do so many things at once. It was kind of gassing her out, and she did slow down quite fast. And then in round 2, they opened up with very heavy shots. These women were fighting and they were going toe to toe. And then Macy got a mount on Silva, and then using the mount, she gave Silva a nasty elbow that split the top of Silva's eyebrow open, and it was bad. There was blood everywhere, and Silva did do good because she used this opportunity to try and get herself an arm bar, which she had in very deep. All she had to do was extend and straighten out her body, but then she let that go, and then she did her typical thing where she's on her back, hands behind her head, and saying, come at me, come at me. And when they went to look at her eye, the cut was bad. The cut was very bad. I'm going to blur it here, but it was very bad. And I think it was a good call to stop it there. But Silva was mad. She was really mad. When the fight was issued as a TKO for Chasson, Silva went over to try to talk to Dana and say, hey, I want to continue fighting. She was dancing. She was like, hey, I want to keep fighting. But you could clearly see she was spewing blood. It was just bad. This fight should have been stopped, and I'm happy it was stopped because there was no point for her to get any more injured for this fight and then have to take a longer recovery time. Chasson won that fight. It was a very bloody fight. So again, it kind of gave you kind of like the ooh and the ahs because of like the cut and the blood. But yeah, it was a very disgusting one. Then we went on to Anthony Smith versus Roman Dolidze. I was expecting an explosive fight. These guys are both explosive fighters, and they were saying it's going to be an explosive fight, but we didn't get an explosive fight. Round 1 started off very slow. They were both like feeling each other out, throwing lots of feints, and it was just like, come on guys, do something. Dolidze was throwing some power shots, and most of them were getting blocked or he was missing. So every time he threw that power shot, he was just missing, and it was like, I know you're trying, but put some more effort into it. Try to land those shots. In round 2, Dolidze did start off very heavy early on. He threw a blitz, which got Smith down, but I don't think it was kind of like a knockdown. I feel like Smith slipped because he wasn't expecting it. No one was expecting Dolidze to come out like blitzing like that. But again, another boring round. Not a lot of things happened, and we kind of just started getting boos from the crowd. And round 3 was very sluggish, not a lot of things happened, but at the end of it, Dolidze did come out as the winner, so it was kind of expected. He threw a lot more power shots, he had a lot more moments, and he just was working more. He even did a little dance at one point, and Smith literally just let him dance in front of him and didn't do anything. Imagine having that opening where your opponent is dancing for like 4 seconds, and you didn't even throw a punch, you just laughed about it, then gave him a high five. Even Daniel Cormier was saying, if that was me, I would have hit him across the head. Like, it's just what it is. You don't just let your opponent dance in front of you, legs all up in the air. Like, come on, do something. And as a main event fight on a card that was supposed to be massive, take it a little bit more seriously. And this one was actually a crazy fight. The co-main event, this was like crazy, not only because of the fighters, but because of the fact that Dan Ige literally stepped in like 3 hours before the fight was supposed to happen, which was crazy. No one was expecting this. We thought the fight was going to be canceled, and he was fighting someone like Diego Lopez, who is a very, very good fighter, explosive kind of guy. In round one, Lopez did open up very fast, throwing those combos. He has fast hands, accurate hands, but Dan Ige was holding his own, and he was kind of ready for this whole thing. It was showing us that he was actually in training. He was ready. He was fit to have this fight. But again, Lopez is very quick. He did catch Dan Ige a few times, which was kind of expected, but at the very end of the round, we saw the fight go to the floor, and Lopez went in for a guillotine, and he actually got it. There was like 15 seconds left. He was trying to get that guillotine. The bell went. It was super intense. If he had maybe 30, 40 more seconds, he could have got Ige out there with a submission. Round two, we had Lopez's legs kicks. They were really working Ige's lead leg. It was bruised from the start of round two. Like, his lead leg was very bruised. A leg kick from Ige did lead to Lopez getting back control and a back triangle. There was very good work from both of them, but of course, again, you don't want to be on your back, especially with someone like Lopez on top of you. And then in round three, things did round up. Ige caught Lopez a few times, but he didn't pressure him. I don't like when I see fighters catch their opponent and they don't pressure him. Like, they just tap you and then they let it slide. What are you doing? Don't let it slide. I know you have to be cautious, but sometimes you can clearly see that you actually injured your opponent. But again, at this point, Lopez was very, very tired. He was giving Ige a few good moments because he was just a little bit sluggish and he was just trying to waste time. Every chance he got, he tried to waste time. He was looking at the clock. He was gassed. He was just in survival mode, and it paid off because at the end of it, he won the fight. It was a unanimous decision, 29-28 to Diego Lopez, which was expected. But as a co-main event, it wasn't the most entertaining. But again, seeing how this whole card is a patchwork card, and this fight was literally scheduled 3 hours before, it's understandable that these guys weren't at their best terms of, okay, I'm fighting this guy, I'm training for this guy. But again, if we're looking at it for just what it is, as a co-main event, it wasn't great. And now for the moment you guys have all been waiting for, Pereira versus Yuri. So this fight was, it gave me chills. They walked out, everyone walked out. Yuri looked like he was ready to go. Alex walked out ready to go, and they just stared each other down. The fight, they literally spent 4 minutes looking into each other's soul, and we thought, this is going to be a great fight. Yuri looks ready this time. He's going to have a very good chance to beat Poatan. But that's what everyone thought. I already knew that Yuri, look, it is what it is. When the fight started, Yuri did open up with a lot of heavy shots, but Alex kept going for that lead leg, exactly like last time. Same on that lead leg, slowing Yuri down. Yuri got a few nice shots in, but again, he chose all those shots, and he chose that low shot where his head is open. He has that open, but he's showing those power shots, but there's a lot of room for people to hit him, and Alex was using that to get a few good shots in. We did get a very nice clinch late in round one that Yuri initiated, but then Alex ended up working more. In my last video, when I did a breakdown and a prediction, I said, if Yuri tries to close that distance and gets into a clinch position, Alex is a very, very high level kickboxer. You don't want to get into so close in a clinch if you're not going to try to take him down or use it to your advantage. Alex is really prepared for that. And then at the end of round one, with seconds to go, a left hook from Alex dropped Yuri. His legs were over the back of his head, and we were like, what the hell? But as soon as the punch landed and Yuri hit the canvas, it was literally a buzzard beater. But again, as I said in my previous video, if he didn't close the distance and keep Alex pressured, Alex was going to use those very long extended shots, and that was exactly what Alex did. Then we got to the start of round two, and literally 5 seconds into round two, Alex landed a very well placed head kick on Yuri, and Yuri went down. Yuri was gone. He was in the shadow realm. He was sent back to last week. So at this point, we have to understand that Alex Pereira is using PEM's performance enhancing magic, because that kick was so perfect. Alex actually dislocated his toe with that kick, and after he knocked out Yuri, he went to the side of the octagon and he put his toe back in place. So that was just a powerful shot. If a shot is getting your toe knocked out of position, then you know that shot was powerful. Yuri was stumbling, he couldn't walk. And after the last fight, when everyone said Herb Dean stopped the fight early, when Yuri went down, Herb Dean ran over and then he stopped And Alex kind of looked at him and said, do I keep going? Before he started getting in some ground and pound before Herb Dean called it, because Herb Dean didn't want to get told again, hey, you stopped the fight early, which was kind of stupid. I felt like Herb Dean should have stopped it as soon as Yuri went down. So it was kind of weird that Herb Dean actually let it continue on. As the main fight, it went the way I expected it to go. I said if Yuri didn't do certain things, there was no way it was going to be Alex. And I was right. He didn't switch up the game plan and you do the exact same thing. It's kind of stupid. You're not going to do great because Alex is a very good fighter and he's very strong at that. The card in general, as a patchwork card, I don't know how great it was. If I had to give it a rank out of 10, I'd probably give this around a 6 out of 10. I did stay up until like 7 a.m. for this whole event, and it kind of wasn't like, at some point I felt it wasn't worth it. The last fight was good, but again, it was a very quick fight, and we didn't get to see it like a drawn-out battle. We just got to see Alex come in and do what he does. So yeah, it wasn't a terrible event. Do I think the Conor McGregor versus Chandler would have been better? I do believe so. If people hadn't pulled out, would the card have been better? I do believe so. For a patchwork card, giving it a 6 out of 10 isn't bad, especially with all the short notices and all these fighters weren't actually ready to fight all these people. And then again, we did see Dana White do a lot of thank youing during the event, thanking fighters, telling fighters he appreciates them, because we all know this event wouldn't have happened if these people didn't step up. So we have to give them credit for it. But anyway, that's my breakdown and that's my conclusion for the 303 event. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like these kind of videos, because it lets me know that you want me to do more of them. So every time there's a fight night and I stay up to watch it, I'm going to do a video breaking it down and giving you a conclusion. But until next time, I'll see you guys then.